Like, are you actually really out there fighting with them as they're getting murdered, as these current bans are trying to be put into place? So I thought there's a bigger conversation that goes along with that ban.
Yeah. My edges are snatched. I feel like I have a facelift.
You do. You look at least 4 years older. Just kidding.
Everybody take a deep breath.
Hi guys, and welcome to episode 6 of QUEERED Millennials, The Key, a mini talk show series about our shared experiences as LGBTQ men of color. Okay. I'm your host, Prince Derek Dahl. These are my co-hosts.
I'm James.
I'm Lex.
And today we're going to talk about trans issues. Stay tuned. So today we're going to start with an icebreaker called Numbers Don't Lie. We're going to give you a couple of facts about trans issues, and we're just going to talk about it. You ready?
I'm ready.
There are an estimated 700,000 people who identify as trans.
That sounds pretty low. Because I would like just a person who just outside looking at, I would think there would be more numbers, but that's really high. For people to actually like step into their own identities.
Right.
Yeah, I was about to say that's pretty high. I mean, I didn't realize that there were that many people who identified as trans. Especially, well, it makes sense now that, like Lester said, that there's more people who are stepping into their identities. So it makes sense.
So you think it's really high? Where's this data coming from? Is it, there are a lot of trans persons who still to this day don't identify as trans. They would prefer to identify as either male or female. One just for their own protection.
That makes sense.
So when you say 700,000 people, it's like there's got to be more than that in America even now, but I guess we'll find out when the census comes out.
Trans people are 4 times more likely to live in poverty.
Seeing some of their struggles and like more or less like the balancing act of like one just being trans and identifying as that and walking in your truth, and also just being a person who's a part of the LGBTQ plus community, it is harder to find that foundation, find that support system that would overall help you get to stable ground. So I can see that as being a realistic number. Me, as a person who just identifies as a person that's just gay, they would get much less than that. Like there are actually things that are like in play that will help me more than they will help them.
When you're out there and you've got to struggle to eat and to have a place to stay and to afford your meds, seeking support, it can be hard on you.
There are only 18 states that have clear laws that protect trans people. I heard about this recently, and quite frankly, I'm disgusted. Because if this is a country where you're supposed to be able to be comfortable and be free in who you are, I don't know how to really describe it. I really don't. It bothers me.
I'm actually surprised that it's 18.
Same, right? Same.
That's a lot to me. I was waiting for you to be like, there are only 7 states. And just given the history of our country, I know that we kind of get caught up in the marketing of freedom and liberty and justice.
Right.
But that is not the reality for us as people of color and us as people who identify other than heterosexuals. That's just never been our narrative. And so I'm very shocked that it's 18. I can't wait till the day we get to where it's all 50 states in our territories where everyone is able to be equally protected.
I was expecting like 6, 7 states. And just looking at, as he was saying, just to piggyback, just seeing how this system has been created, how we're barely even accepted. Right. But I do like the fact that they are fighting more.
So trans issues have kind of taken a forefront in the conversation over the past couple of years. And I know growing up in the South, there were a lot of cloudy gray areas when it came to trans people, into how we were to address them, you know, how it came to be. So I want to know, what were some of the misconceptions that you all had about trans people before you knew better, or that you've heard of or experienced?
I would say like the most common one is that they all do sex work. when many of them do, but many of them don't.
Exactly.
And not to judge those who actually do, because if that's just survival, that should be survival, that should be some survival. So there's no judgment there at all.
I just want to respect your identity.
One thing that I learned is what people always bypass, people never ask names. They always go straight, okay, this person is transgender. Oh my God, is it a he, is it a she, is it they?
Like, what is your name?
Like, hi, my name is James, nice to meet you. Hi, my name is Lester, nice to meet you. What is your name?
Right.
That's the easiest way to get past all of that. Back in the days, this whole transgender thing was never the go-to. It was never like, oh, I'm trans, this and other, I have to identify as that. No, I'm a woman. I'm a man. That's what I am. So when I meet you, oh, hi, my name is Sarah, my name is Tanya, my name is Tracy, my name is Malaysia, that's my name. So trying to find this whole other segue into like, oh, so how can we address her? How can we address him?
Right.
Once you get past that, ask their names. It's that simple.
Yeah.
I think one of my misconceptions was that I thought that all trans people were movie stars or like entertainers. I didn't know that. No, seriously. I think because my idea of a trans person growing up, even though maybe I'm faulty, was people like RuPaul.
Okay.
Because I actually thought that RuPaul was a woman until I got corrected as a child and I was told that that's a man. You can't be singing that song and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, I thought that it was really just people who were creating their character, and it was something for entertainment. Until I grew up and realized that no, these people's real lives. Like,
yes,
this is not for camera. No, you're a woman. Oh, okay. You're a man. Yes, sir. And just growing into, like you said, just what is your name? What do you prefer to be called? Even with the conversation about the pronouns, it's like, how would you like me to address you? Because I want to respect your person, just like I'm going to demand that you respect my person.
I think one of my misconceptions is that being trans meant that you were attracted to the same sex. Being that, oh, just because you transitioned over, now you're still attracted to, or you're attracted to now, same sex. Whereas now I've learned that you can be transgender and be a trans woman and be attracted to men. And also vice versa, with trans men being attracted to women. It's not the fact that you can't be trans and be a part of the LGBT plus community.
BLT sandwich.
Because I think what a lot of them like to understand is, just because I'm trans, I identify as a woman. So me identifying as a woman, I see myself as a straight female.
Right.
So I like men. That don't mean I like gay men, which some trans women do, some trans men do. So it's up for their own debate or whatever.
Right.
But in most cases, just because they're trans does not mean that or equate to them being gay.
There are trans women that like women. Like Caitlyn Jenner said that Caitlyn Jenner had a girlfriend. She's trans, you know?
Yeah.
So she's a lesbian, right?
Baby steps, you're getting there.
Would she be a lesbian or bisexual? Because
that's why I say
oh my gosh, that is mental
there
gymnastics.
are those who do, and there also are those who don't, because it's up to their own interpretation of how they want to approach that.
You know, your sexuality and your gender is part of your experience. It is your own. It's yours.
Absolutely.
It's yours, and you can do with it whatever you want. And like you said, asking the questions just so I can respect your being, just like I'm going to demand that you respect my being. And so
I can't stress that enough. Ask. Do not assume, because when you assume, you make an ass out of yourself. Recently, there has been articles and also political conversations around Trump and how he's putting in place certain trans bans that will be, I guess, lethal. Well, not that I guess. I know will be lethal to those who identify as trans and also those who identify as queer, loving individuals or non-binary and so forth. So how do you guys feel about that?
I'm just tired of this man's name.
The Cheeto in Chief needs to go.
He's gotta go. He's gotta go.
Period.
When it comes to policy, and I think it's going to be very hard for him to get it through at this point. Like, I do believe that Congress is more aware than they let off, and some things would be very detrimental to the fabric of our country. Like, I don't see the military ban, for example, with trans people, and the argument that if you haven't gone through the surgery yet, then you're not prepared for battle, because you have to be in a certain mental state, you have to be in a certain physical condition to go into combat. That's a reasonable argument.
Sure.
You see what I'm saying? Like, I get that. But as far as rolling back certain rights for trans people, like at the bottom of it all, they're still people.
Sure.
And it's a human rights issue. It's a human rights concern. This is still a person. And discriminating against any person for their identity, period, is wrong.
I feel as though this would definitely just torpedo everything that's been trying to be done with inclusivity.
Yes.
Inclusivity and diversity.
Yes.
That's something that's been trying to be pushed by a lot of these companies who have been side-eyed a little bit because of their certain policies that they did have. And now with this coming up, this is going to definitely torpedo all of that. Everything that's been pushed to get us to where we're at right now.
You know, I feel like this alternate universe that we're in, I feel like they're really trying to force us back in the closet, like trying to, make America great again. Feels like they're trying to go back to this black and white Pleasantville era, where you knew there were gay men, you knew there were queer people, but they were in the shadows, or
that we were things lurking in the night.
Yeah, only in the night. Trying to go back to this fake ass facade of Wonder Bread America. Right. But it's 21st century, and we're living in Technicolor now. I feel like I have a little bit of faith in humanity left. And even though this is an attempt and it's an attack on a community that I'm a part of and I work for and advocate for and serve, I can't wrap my mind yet around this becoming a real thing. And I do think if it does, I think we're going to react.
Oh, we're going to react. It's going to be
I just personally feel like we're expendable to them in the corporate, just in the corporate world in general. That it's like, when it's beneficial for you, it's beneficial for you. But everything that you do that includes us, you want from you because you reap the benefits. But we get nothing from that, especially those who identify as trans.
Right.
So having this bill even being a question or being a topic of conversation, it just takes us back 10 steps when we just moved up 20. So it's like, what are you really trying to do with this? Because there is a current ban that's in place, which I can't think of it at the moment, but just to give you a little synopsis about it, if you sleep with a person who's trans, and after sleeping with them, you feel like this was wrong, that it was ungodly, or it puts you in a mental state of anxiety, emotional anxiety, by law, you can technically kill them.
Trans panic.
Exactly.
I know exactly what you're talking about, because that's the law that they were talking about with the 18 states. That it's illegal to do that.
It's literally a witch hunt. I knew nothing about this until recently when I saw it on Twitter when he retweeted it. This is literally something that's happening today in 2019. And it's mind-boggling.
I think it's also will further the conversation on what are the best ways for us to fight and to advocate. How do we best support them? And is it protesting? Does that work for us? Period. Is it contacting our Congress people, or is it time for us to bully the bullies? What are some of the best ways for us to best protect our trans community? Because that's something that I think that even in our daily lives and in the work that we do, we're always trying to figure out a way to best support our community. And sometimes it can be really hard because it's hard to find the answer. How do I help fight for you?
I think one thing that I'm gonna say, and in general that we can start doing is asking the trans individuals how we can help them fight this fight. I feel like we always look at like, okay, what can we do? What can we do? And asking those who don't identify as such,
right?
What we can do? We can't do shit, honestly, because we don't know where to start. We don't know the baseline.
Right.
We don't have foundation. But asking a person who identifies as trans, a person who has been fighting, who actually fighting the fight, what can we do? Because number one, we can start giving them more safe spaces. Not having them go to organizations where you have to identify as a same gender loving individual when you're trans.
Exactly.
Which is beyond disrespectful.
God.
So the organization needs to change their policy.
If you work in public health, you know.
Let's call a thing a thing.
You know.
I think that's where we need to really start. We need to start making moves and standing behind them and let them be the forefront. This is your world, and as us being a group of collective of individuals of strength,
right?
3 minds is better than one. Imagine how many was it? 17,000? 700,000?
700,000.
Giving them the voice to be on that platform to say, like, you know what, now it's time for change. I think that's where it needs to be started.
And Mentor was like, well, listen, that sounds like a great idea. What we can do is just get them in the room and extending the platform, like you said, giving them a chance to speak for themselves and to how powerful it'll be to have the community behind them, having those LGBTQ men standing with and behind our trans women and trans and even our trans men, and creating an allyship within our own community first.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Stop trying to start the conversation without actually trying to have the conversation.
And I feel like they should, like you said, they should lead the conversation because this is their experience. Just like you have when during the civil rights era, there were white people who, you know, wanted to help the black. How do we help? Can I help me help you? And then they would jump and they'll take the bullhorn, and you know, sometimes it's good to using their privilege to get into spaces so that we could speak.
Right.
But for the most part, there were times when we was like, well, actually, we just don't want you to say anything. We really just want you to stay right here to show that you support us and let us speak.
Be our backbone.
Yeah, you know.
Be our backbone. Be our response behind us. Hold us up. Because they're gonna get a lot of pushback.
And I feel like that's as us as black gay men, because of the fact that this has been an epidemic that's been happening to black trans women and trans men. We need to be there. We need to be there as that solid support. No words, just be there as their support.
So today we engaged in an amazing conversation about trans issues, and there's still so much more for us to cover. You know, I think that it's very important for us to keep in mind that there are people out there going through experiences that we may not be able to relate to, but we can always be there to empathize. We have to think about those 700,000 plus people every day who are living either in fear for their rights being taken, living with or without support, and needing a voice. We have to be the ones standing beside and behind them, amplifying that voice and giving them those secure spaces. If you would like to join the conversation, please follow us on Twitter at QUEERED Millennial. You can also subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on Instagram at QUEERED Millennial. And we'll see you in the next episode. Good job, guys. Bang.